Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the Disclosure Team YouTube page. We're 5 days into the new year. Happy New Year. I guess I can still say that to everybody. Thank you to everybody that's here right now. It's good to see you all. Yeah, it's really good to be back. It feels a little bit strange. I feel like I've been away for a long time, even though it's probably only been a couple of weeks. But I'm really good. I had a great holiday. Excuse me. I hope you guys did too. Um, for anybody that wants to listen to this on podcast audio only, these will now be going out for the month of January through That UFO podcast. So if you wherever you listen to your podcasts, Apple Podcasts or Spotify, for the month of January, these will be available a couple of days after the YouTube live through That UFO podcast. Then in February, we're going to be put out on the Anomalous Podcast Network, which is a new network being started by Andy at That UFO podcast. So look out for that. So yeah, let's not waste any more time, guys. Let's introduce our guest for today. I think you all know who he is. He's got a great YouTube channel. I've spoken to him before. Here he is, none other than Chris Lehto. Chris, how are you, man?
Yeah, great. Thanks for having me, Vinny. Thanks for having me on.
Pleasure, man. I wanted you back for some time, and I thought I wanted a really good conversation to start the new year off. So you're the perfect choice. So
Awesome. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, thanks.
Just to let everybody as well know in the live chat, I can now highlight your questions and store them. So it may be just to help the flow of the conversation that we store a lot of your questions till the end. And that way we don't just keep like interrupting this conversation. We'll see how it goes. You know, this is the first time that option's been available. So we'll just freestyle it and have a good time. So Chris, did you have a good holiday?
I did, man. It's been awesome. Like we were saying just before, is I had to take a break. I didn't think of really UAP stuff for literally 2 weeks. Like I just had to just literally take a mental break. You know, I've been working on other projects, but yeah, it was great. We had family friends in town, traveled all around, and yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, because you're in Portugal, right?
Yeah, right at the tip down in Lagos. Lagos is how they pronounce it.
What's the weather like?
It was rainy for a while. You know, you get a kind of this rainy about what would you call it? 16 degrees Celsius. What is it?
That's good.
Yeah,
for December.
Is it? Yeah, it's pretty good. So yeah, but then it's been nice this past week. Yeah, I was surfing today at the beach. It was a beautiful beach day. Man. Yeah, I hate to say it, you know.
No, I love it. I love it. I love it that you surf as well. I love that whole thing. I mean, my background is board sports as well, so
awesome.
Totally dig it. So
yeah, I'm not very good, but I'm learning. You know, like at first I had a longboard. And then I bought a shortboard. This is like 10 years ago in California. When I was learning Turkish. I just surfed for 1 year. And then I got a shorter board, and I haven't been able to ride it, you know, because I just wasn't good enough. 6'8", you know, it's 6'8", you know, it's still
6'8".
I'm not tall. Yeah, I'm only 5'6", actually. I'm a short dude. So 6'8", okay. Actually, it's a big board for me. But I was able to ride it. You know, it's a short board, but
yeah,
shorter.
I'm with you,
yeah,
man. I'm with you.
I was happy. Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Well, listen, you know, we've spoken before on your channel, my channel, and that, but we've not had a one-on-one before. So I thought if it's okay with you, we could just jump back a little bit into your background. Could you just talk us through your kind of military career a little bit? And we can then jump on from there, if that's okay.
Excellent. Yeah, I graduated Air Force Academy in 2000. I had a material science degree, so it's a branch of chemistry. I think there was only 6 material scientists actually graduated that year in the U.S. So it was a new degree. I think there's much more now. And then based on, I had my physical was good enough, so I went to pilot training. That's probably the biggest benefit of going to the Air Force Academy. At least, you know, once you graduate, biggest benefit is you get first shot at the pilot slots. So I wanted to do something kind of different. All the Air Force bases are in terrible locations. And so I went to the Navy. So I went Navy training in Pensacola. Did that. That took about a year. And then you get selected in training. You know, depends how you do. If they select the top, whatever, 4 or 5, how many slots they have for the fighters. Fighter bomber track is what it is. So then I went to Vance, that's in Oklahoma, back into the Air Force. It was a different experience, right? It's much more, it's much more hazing, etc. Graduated that, and then went to F-16s in Phoenix. Did the training there. I met my wife, and then from there we picked out of a hat actually, and I picked number 1. So I chose. You could choose the assignments. Well, they give you a list, and then we had to decide as a class. Right, there was kind of some controversy, but anyway, I got to select first, and then I picked South Korea with a follow-on to Italy. Wow. So I did a year actually in South Korea. I cut my teeth, is what they say in South Korea. So you show up, you have to learn how to be a wingman. That's kind of the initial, a combat ready wingman. Okay. And Korea is just a crazy place. For F-16 guys, pretty much everybody goes through Korea at some point. It's like, it's the rite of passage, if you will. Yeah. So crazy stories there, man. Yeah, I could definitely write a book about the stupid things we did there. And but also great flying and camaraderie, and it's just a crazy place. So from there, went to Italy, went on my only combat deployment, actually, was from there to Iraq. I was with the Triple Nickel. That's a famous fighter squadron, 555th out of Aviano. And love the Triple Nickel. I ended up flying with them in my last assignment, off and on. So after Italy, went to Alaska. And from there, I primarily went training. I wasn't a huge proponent of all the war. I went and fought in Iraq. We were very motivated to succeed. We did want to, I remember just really wanting to help all those people there to win, to basically stop the violence. But, if you're using violence to stop violence, I think we've shown it doesn't usually work, right? I mean, so for me, after that, I went mainly training. So I went to Red Flag and stood up Red Flag up in Alaska. So Red Flag is a very large international exercise where nations come. They do a very intensive, everyone together, 2-week exercise where you practice like you would fight. So I was you basically have the professional bad guys. So the guys that you fight against when you go there are called aggressors. Right. And that's really kind of the role I really feel the most comfortable with in the Air Force, was as an aggressor. So I loved the role. It was so nerdy. We get access to all these intelligence materials, and you can just go as deep as you want or can into all that world, essentially trying to find out what the bad guys do, what our adversaries do, and then to train our good guys, or train our team against that. Right. So you find out everything you can, and then pretend to do that. Flying in Alaska, it was just amazing flying. It was so awesome. We would fly clean jets, with no tanks. Normally you have wing tanks that are under the jet so that you can fly longer distances before you need to refuel. Well, it impacts you, right? You can tell immediately if you're carrying wing tanks. It's much heavier, jet's super slow, et cetera. So we would be able to fly clean with nothing on the plane because we had a refueling tanker, right? So there's only 12 of us. There's like 40 good guys, right? There's only 12 bad guys, because when we die, we just go back and touch a base. We have a point in the ground. We fly down, and then be like, okay, you're alive, and then fly back up. And so there's only 12 of us, so we could refuel. And then I just had great, I just remember great engagements off the tanker where I have a full tank of gas in a clean Viper, and I just go supersonic as fast as it can go, and then just run these guys down, because normally you're limited by a supersonic, because the sonic booms are just so loud. We can't just, if you sonic boom over a city, it's a report, right? You get in trouble. So a lot of these guys aren't used to going Mach 2 or close to it, So we would get up to Mach 1.5, 1.7. The fastest I went was 1.83. That was off one of those tanker runs, and so they think they're safe. They bomb target, they're running away, and then you're coming twice as fast as them, because they're going almost supersonic. So they think they're safe, right? And you can just catch up on them, and it was cool. So really enjoyed that. Yeah.
So when you're in combat, are you clean, or do you have fuel tanks then, or does the ordnance balance the weight distribution out? Like, what's the difference that you would have in combat?
Yeah, it's all, combat is all, weapons. So it'd be like, what's your weapon loadout going to be? And Yeah, there's only certain configurations that can fit on the airplanes. And then your fuel is, we kind of have a standard configuration. We have an air-to-air configuration and an air-to-ground configuration.
Right.
Because if you actually merge with someone in combat, there is a button. It's an emergency stores button.
Okay.
And if you get into a position where you're not easily going to win, right, or you think there's a chance you could get shot, then you push this emergency stores button, and it drops your bombs and your fuel tanks.
Wow.
Right.
Just
So
for
you
more
can maneuver.
nimble maneuverability.
Yeah. So you go right to that clean jet I was talking about. You know, maybe you have the missiles on the tips of the wings, but you're very maneuverable. But you lost all your payload, right? Your bombs. And if you're a bomb dropper, your goal is to deliver the bombs, you know, on the target. So you don't want to drop them. So those guys, you know, in an exercise, you would push those guys away from the air-to-air fighters, because the air-to-air fighters, they're not going to carry bombs. They're going to prioritize just air-to-air weapons because they're much lighter, faster, et cetera. Yeah. So it's
just, without sounding too stupid, is an F-16 a single seater? You don't have a whizzer or anything, do you?
Yeah, it's single seat primarily. I think the Israelis, they put in a back seat and put in a Wizzo.
Oh, okay.
So there's they modified it.
Cool. The reason why I'm really interested in all of this kind of talk as well is because a lot of times we hear the phrase trained observer. Now, there's always that debate about Commander Fravor and Alex Dietrich with the Nimitz case about, you know, even pilots can make mistakes when they're witnessing things. Can you talk to about the kind of, you know, what are the chances of misconceiving, you know, a strange object for another jet, for example? How much could you detect another F-16 through FLIR or anything compared to an anomalous object? Do you know where I'm coming from?
Yeah, I mean, I would say for sure, you know, I've heard that a lot too, about the professional observers. You heard that in defense of Fravor and those guys. And actually, I have to agree with it. You know, all the training that we get is sight picture based. So it's basically, what do you see and what do you do? Especially when you get into the within visual range dogfighting, when I talked about, you know, if you go to punch tanks, then really that's what all of your systems are designed so that you can look outside. You know, the HOTAS, the helmet mounted sight, you know, it's all cued so you can look at the adversary, right? Because it's a famous axiom: lose sight, lose the fight. And it's true. Like, yeah, if you lose sight of them, it's embarrassing. It's very uncomfortable, and you will lose, you know, in about 20 seconds. And so just from that perspective, we're very used to seeing those objects at crazy distances, right? So, you know, at 5 nautical miles, I know you can barely pick up a plane looks like a dot. And that happened to my friend. Actually, he was in one of those engagements I was talking about off the tanker. He was going Mach 1.8 or something ridiculous. He's crazy. Wow. He was going very fast. And there was an F-22 he was getting vectored onto, right? And everybody wants to shoot the F-22s, right? What he said was he saw it as a dot. He saw a dot, and then he went in to try and shoot it, and literally 10 seconds later, I think they passed it, like very, you know, not close, but close enough.
Yeah.
So you're just not used to that. You know, people aren't used to that. You never looked for something that's 5 miles away and then seen it come close to you in that amount of time.
Sure.
Just in the air environment. And then especially I was thinking about Fravor, especially because, you know, I've flown with those guys. I mentioned Fravor before. You know, I'm not like Fravor's caliber, I think, of weapon school, you know, in the books, detail oriented, I promise he knows every single little key point in the book, all the tactical manuals, you know, that level, you know. I think for me would be more like breaking in case of glass, you know, like we're losing the war, you know, like what do we need? And then, you know, or I don't know, that would be at least my hope anyway. But so for Fravor, I think especially him, where he was at in his position in his career, where he went to weapons school, they get so much training just on visual IDs, how to ID different aircraft. Like every bathroom in a fighter squadron, you know, sit on the toilet, and there's going to be a list, little pixels or pictures, sorry, of different planes, right? Different aspects, ranges, it'll be like a little dot like this, or a few
Right.
pixels. So it's just common to do that. That is what we do. That being said, yeah, of course, mistakes happen, right? You had the F-15, right? Shot down the Black Hawk. He ID'd it. He ID'd it as hostile, as a Hind, but it was obviously a Black Hawk. And they never lived that down, of course.
Yeah, because isn't a Hind a lot bigger than a Black Hawk?
I don't think it's much bigger, but it's definitely, the shape is definitely different. Yeah. So
interesting.
So I would say yes. It's they are trained observers. He's definitely, especially in his career, what he's seen and how much instruction he's given, basic instruction. Yeah, I'd say that's and his interview is really the one that changed me. That changed my viewpoint on the whole thing. When I heard that,
Cool.
I was like, okay, yeah.
So what's your take on the FLIR one, the Tic Tac video out of the 3 Navy videos? Let's focus on that one. Do you think it's something anomalous? Could it be something prosaic?
I mean, the biggest thing for me on that video, right? Because the SCU, they did a big investigation in it, and I kind of disagree with them, because I think the video itself, probably actually looking back, like the biggest anomalous part of it is kind of the first half of that video, where you just see like this circle ball.
Yeah.
And I've been investigating this week about balls, etc. Basically these orbs, because we saw like the A-10 video, right? I mean, that thing clearly just an orb. You had Dave Falch's video. He did say I could basically or relist the video that we had before.
Cool.
Yes, you have his orb, right? And then you look at all these other kind of orb videos. So looking at FLIR, it does kind of look like that, at the beginning.
Sure.
Yeah. So that's probably the best anomalous part of it. And then the other part of it is when they don't find anything, because like so many things are out there. The fact that they couldn't find anything, and he's flying with a fighter there, and he had a vector towards that direction, is very strange to me, because that's what you do as a fighter. If you're doing air-to-air combat, it's basically, how can we fly in a formation, not hit each other, and then target and shoot another aircraft,
Right. Yeah.
And that's all the practice is. And especially if all those assets were out there for this air defense exercise, so what they're going to be practicing is just vectoring people onto each other, Yeah. They're practicing as well. So the controllers on the Princeton, they're going maybe the Princeton as well is going to be vectoring them. But the final controllers is probably the Hawkeye. They're up. Those are the controllers. They have the look down.
Of course,
they're closer. Yeah. I don't know. I've only worked with the Navy a few times, but I'm pretty sure the Hawkeye was doing the vectoring and the control.
Yeah, I think so.
They have very good radars.
Interesting, man. So let's just stick with the Navy videos and jump on just to get your views briefly on Go Fast and Gimbal. Does anything stand out about them that tells you that it's not interesting, or that it is particularly interesting?
Well, I was just looking at Gimbal again this week because I basically, one of the Mick West supporters, I'm assuming, since I see him on a few of my videos, he was saying, if you cover up the gimbal and then you mark down when it feels to you like the camera is rotating, then look underneath and you'll see the object rotating. And that's been the first time I've actually understood, even seen their argument that it's actually rotating. Have you seen that? Have you tried it? Or
I've not tried it. I do keep up with both sides of this back and forth. Absolutely.
Yeah. And and I did it, and I was like, actually, it does seem like it kind of lines up, like it actually is related to the rotational mechanism. But when we talked to the FLIR experts and another mechanical engineer that did this investigation into it, basically that's not possible, right? That it can't rotate. So I'm almost leaning where it's somewhere in between, where actually what we're seeing is you're seeing a glare that an FLIR expert, basically the guy who put these systems together, doesn't think is possible.
Right.
And I think maybe that is actually rotating, or could be. Still to be said, though, is that what I think is we're seeing an orb, if that's what it is. One of these weird orbs is what I'm thinking it is.
Right.
Instead of a full-shaped, saucer, flying saucer.
Yeah.
It could be. Again, I did it just for a few minutes yesterday. So, yeah. But what I think the gimbal for sure showed that it's inside of 10 nautical miles.
Yeah.
Based on the geometry, because they're turning, I'm able to prove, hey, they're inside this thing's inside of 10 nautical miles, or it's going like Mach 2 or Mach 5 far away or something. So
yeah, because they've talked about 20 miles and things like that as well, haven't they? So it's good to know.
Yeah,
interesting.
If it's outside of 10 nautical miles, it's same thing. Like if you're shooting something with a shotgun or whatever. If it's 100 feet away, you got to move this fast. But if it's, a mile away, you're not even going to move. Or if it's closer, you're going to move faster, right?
Sure.
So same thing with that. So luckily that one was turning, because if it wasn't turning, then, it'd be more difficult to prove that it's actually, within that range. Because that's really what you're trying to figure. That's the issue, right? And that's how you shoot stuff. You need how far away it is, and you need the angle to it, right? And yeah, if it's stationary, yeah.
The Christian raises a good point here, saying the pilot's saying it's rotating. Now, is he seeing just the FLIR view, or I mean,
That's what I still haven't been able to track that down.
Because that's interesting, isn't it?
I think he's looking at it when he said it. I think he's looking at the video. I think he's watching the video,
right,
and saying it's rotating. Because so I did the math I did, it went to 6.7, 6.8 nautical miles. Let's call it 6.9 nautical miles, right?
Cool.
And so you're at that range, like I mentioned before, that fighter that my buddy merged with.
Yeah.
It was just a dot at 5 nautical miles.
Wow.
So if this thing's at 6.9, it depends if it's going to be difficult to see, right? And he's probably not going to be able to see rotation for sure, is my guess.
That's really interesting, man.
Yeah.
And it's those small, fine points that really could sway this whole conversation, this whole back and forth, it's tough.
Well, more data would definitely help. Like, that's what I'm like.
Yeah.
Because they have the whole video. I mean,
yeah.
We turn the tapes on when I start the plane. I turn the tapes on, and then when I shut down, I sometimes I forget, or I turn them. Usually I turn them off. But yeah, we leave them running.
So you're more likely to get too much footage than not enough.
Yes. Yeah. And I think they cut it to make it too short, and then it got passed over. So I don't know. From 2004, I doubt there's more video. Back then they had real tapes, so it was harder. But 2015, like Gimbal, Go Fast, for sure, they have somewhere is the full video.
So there's some big digital files stored somewhere.
And which is curious too, because what happened after that, right? Because that thing was only going around 250 knots. So from the math I did, it was around 7 miles away, and it was going like 250 knots, the same speed as the fighters. And they're on an intercept. They were intercepting it. So I'm curious what happened, right? So did they intercept it, or did it fly away faster than them, or disappear? That's where it's like, same with FLIR. Where did it go? That's the question. Where did it go?
I suppose the thing with Gimbal as well is that there was a whole fleet of them on the SA.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in that case, and actually, at the beginning, I was Mick West. I don't know if there's anger towards him or anything, but it's hard hearing all debunking stuff. It changes your view. You're like so sure about something, and then you hear something and it hurts. You're like, yeah, that hurt. I watched that little thing. I've made several videos saying, hey, it definitely rotates. But when you see something like that, I'm like, oh man, dang, that that's right. That's finally right. And he was no one else explained it like that before, and I didn't just randomly try it, but I will, in the next one.
Of course, man. You got to try every opportunity and every little change and hypotheses and that, I guess, I think
That's
that's
why people don't
why.
change. Yeah.
Well, I think that's why we, as the outsiders, have seen this back and forth, let's say, for quite some time now. But it's a good thing, and I like.
Yeah.
I mean, I've spoken to Mick.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not mathematically inclined to be able to say yes or no. I don't agree with you, but I think it sounds like he's clinging on to things but ignoring other things. That's the kind of impression that I've got, and I know a lot of other people have, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think it comes down to the lack of data as well.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate when they point things out that are correct. I'm grateful for them. Like it doesn't waste my time. Like he made an excellent video about the 3-row. Have you seen, the 3-row, those red orbs that are coming out in a row?
Is that the South China Sea one from recently?
Yes. Yeah, the South China Sea one. He made a video like a day after that came out, and I thought he was spot on. To me, it looks just like flares, like exactly like aircraft flares. So I'm not going to spend a bunch of time I could be using for other projects or using for other things. Yeah. So I appreciate that. Like I could just watch his video, I liked it. I wrote great content. And it is, that's good. I think that helps everybody, right? I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah.
The
100%.
debunkers make us work harder.
It does. They do. And it hurts when you get jabbed, but whatever. Yeah. And that's what and the fighter pilot, that's what it feels like. I'm sure you would just fit in fine. You're used to getting jabbed. It's good.
Yeah, I'm used to the digs. Don't worry, man. But listen, thanks for all that. But what I wanted to just bring it back to you in particular now, and through those years of flying and everything, what was the conversation like with fellow pilots and that? Was there ever any talk of UFOs and UAP? Even not that you saw anything, but just does it ever come up? Is it taboo? Was the stigma there that it never really happened?
I mean, we literally never talked about it.
Right.
I don't remember one single conversation.
Yeah. I'm not surprised. I've heard that from a lot of military people I've spoke to.
I was surprised looking back how much the Air Force has investigated, how much they were involved, the U.S. Air Force. Yeah, I mean, just never looked at it. If you just think it's crazy and couldn't possibly be true, then you just avoid it. Or I did anyway. Especially when you're flying. And now I have more time that I'm using up quickly, but in a fighter squadron, you just don't have any time, man. I guess you are BSing a lot. It never came up, man. Never came up.
That's cool, man. I can believe it. Totally. So where did your interest come from then? In the whole UFO subject, because you're deep in it now, man.
It came from Lou Elizondo. Yeah, I mean that video with Fravor and Lex Fridman. So that got me into it. But why did I start making videos about it? Mick West got me in there. He's my origin story. Is Mick West like gotta get that into this. Somehow it's got to be a joke somewhere. So Mick was on TV saying this stuff is not real. It's obviously fake, and that got me involved. But I have always I've never been religious, and I've always been interested in knowing what the hell is going on with life, why we're here, what is it? Like I still every day I'm just like, man, what am I looking at? And that's why I went into science. That's why I got a chemistry degree. I think I've just always been very interested in the nature of reality. I've tried to read all, as many novels as I can by Stephen Hawking, and read the old school Aristotle. So I've always been very interested in being human and what that means, how it's defined. And I also love the fact that people are being surprised, or stereotypes are being broken. Basically, I grew up and I look around, I'm like, man, I feel like I'm, I don't know, kind of surrounded by idiots and that believe crazy stuff, right? And then this comes out, the UFO stuff. And I was like, this could actually be true. I mean, is that even a possibility? Because that just changes the whole game.
Yeah.
And we could possibly find out, that just so mind blowing to me. So from there, it was like, why would I spend my time on anything else? What else are you gonna try and find out about the world? I've already done. I'm very happy with how I ended. I luckily survived through very dangerous career, and been in a position where I feel actually very, I hate to say blessed, right? But in a sense, I feel very appreciative of my position.
Yeah.
And I've had tons of, I've traveled all around the world. I've flown fighters, I've done everything I wanted to do. So why would I do anything else? I don't know.
I like that attitude. I really do.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people feel the same, man. I think you're a
Cool.
really important
Why
voice.
did you get in, or how did you get in?
I guess my story's the same as a lot of people. Sci-fi. I was a child of the 80s. Some of the best sci-fi movies ever came from that era.
Yes.
And then I suppose I discovered UFO documentaries, but you never get any answers from those. So that kind of made me then want to go and dig into even more and realize there were declassified documents that I guess still didn't give us answers, but it just kept me needing more, always needing more. And yeah, here I am to this day, just still looking for more answers. And I guess it's an obsession. I guess I've got that kind of addictive personality where if I do something, I'm going to go like full force, 110% until, and I don't think I'll get that until, if you know what I mean. So yeah, it's just I ain't stopping. But listen, let's talk about last year, because I feel last year really, I mean, we could talk about 2017 and that kind of switched it up a gear. But last year, 2021, I felt like was the best year we've had in a while. The NDAA for fiscal year 2021 that Trump signed in, where we knew we were going to get 180 days for a report, let's say. What were your expectations leading up to that? And then leading into what were your thoughts when we got the preliminary assessment?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm very happy with what came out.
Good.
Yeah, I'm very happy. I was just reviewing again. Yeah, I mean, it's excellent. At least I still need to track down the final NDAA that was signed. But the most recent copy I saw was very good. It had everything we asked for. There's unclassified. Go ahead.
I'm talking about NDAA for 2021, not 2022.
2021. I wasn't even I didn't even know what that was. I knew what it was.
But you were here when we got the June 25th
talking about
report.
the preliminary assessment. Okay, sorry about that.
No, that's all good. I meant the build up to that, and then
Yes.
when we got that 9-page preliminary assessment.
Yeah, I didn't have any big expectations for that report, so I guess that's why I wasn't let down as much. It seemed like the community kind of overall was let down. They were expecting maybe more evidence, but I was happy to just see those numbers. I was happy to see the numbers they put in.
Yeah,
because they could have just said some, many.
Could have been a whole lot of nothing. I think even leading up to that day, I was sat with all the websites for where it came out waiting, and I was like, we still don't even know if it's going to drop. So yeah, I think a lot of people got their hopes up for some sort of disclosure of some big information, but I think the acknowledgement of the subject being taken seriously within DoD and the Pentagon is just as important as anything else. So, but
I mean, I think it'll take a group. I mean, it's going to take everyone to kind of bust through. Obviously, it hasn't happened in the past 70 years.
Of course.
But I think that was it at least validated it. So now scientists, or at least people in the military, at least pilots now, or whoever's in the government, they can have those conversations.
Absolutely.
That I just never had. I mean, it's kind of, I don't remember a single conversation about, UFOs or seeing any anomalous objects or anything. Like, that's kind of weird, right? Especially, it was only made weirder when I went back and saw that the Air Force had like, decades of experience with these things, and so
they were the worst. They were the worst at keeping the secrets, man.
Yeah, it's almost weird. Yeah, it almost just makes them look guiltier, that now. Yeah, so I was very happy to see that. So yeah, you put it in writing. They put numbers in, and so they validated it, and they have delivered on pretty much everything I can see. It's just taken a while. But like Lou
So
Alzano
let's
said, right? It takes a while.
Yeah, exactly. So let's jump forward now to the same thing, NDAA, but this for the 2022. So like we were just saying, and even before we jumped on, that it, it's different. It's only 1 year on, but it seems like we've made some pretty big steps. So what are your thoughts on like the first announcement of the amendments? Well, the NDAA, I think it was September, October, and then leading up to now with the amount of changes. Does that feel different to last year for you?
I mean, for me, it's like I live in a different world, to be honest. Yeah, completely.
Good.
You know, I mean,
Yeah.
different universe. I guess. I mean, it really changed my paradigm, because before that, I kind of thought, standard. You kind of think you know what's going on. Like same thing. I thought science was correct. But it just cannot possibly be true that science knows everything, right? That's the point of science, is we're always progressing. So to think that I was certain that nothing could go faster than the speed of light, as of last
Right.
year, I was like, well, or it'll be a long time. There's no possibility that alien life could be here on Earth. I thought I was pretty certain of that. I would have bet, I'm probably not my life, but maybe, I was pretty certain.
Nice.
Now I'm like, I don't know. I mean, it's definitely not. It is definitely possible in my brain now that it's could be, there could be aliens here, which makes sense, right? I mean, if you think about it, because we can say we don't even know how many galaxies are in the universe. Like we literally can't. We don't know. Our numbers go from like hundreds of billions into the trillions.
Dude, it's more grains of sand than on them beautiful beaches in Portugal.
Yes.
And everywhere else.
And everywhere else.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing.
Yeah.
The numbers.
And yet none of them could possibly have figured out a way to, travel to where we are or know that we're alive. I mean, it just seems, now that I've changed, now looking back, I kind of feel like I've gone through a door, and now I'm looking back and I'm like, man, it's naive,
Hey, that's cool, but that's the evolution of you as a person, and the longer that you're in this subject, the crazier things get.
Yeah,
everything's an evolution.
Yeah.
Oh
see
man,
these
do you know
old
what?
school guys and been doing it for 30 years. It's difficult.
Yeah, but I think as well, like that's all good, but they seem to like, and I'm not throwing shade on anyone, but it almost felt like for a long time that they were talking about the same thing year after year after year. I know they weren't getting the kind of the change behind the scenes that we're getting right now, but things do change, and here we are changing rapidly.
Yeah, and all this, like Robert Salas, 25 years, man. We just, I feel so grateful to those guys.
100%, man, and I'm so glad that he got to do that conference back in October. I felt like it needed more coverage, media coverage especially.
Yeah, I didn't see it anywhere, man. That's
It was a shame. I know a few outlets picked it up as a story, but they should have been there, like they were there in 2001 for the Disclosure Project with Stephen Greer. They should have been in the building. So yeah, I felt a little bit of disappointment there, but you can't win them all, I guess.
Yeah.
Listen, one thing I really wanted to talk to you about is something that actually opened my eyes massively recently, and that was your review and analysis of the Turkey UFO footage.
Oh, the Turkey UFO, sweet.
Oh man, well, we got to get into this because number one, like all I ever heard and what I looked at was this Turkey footage, this video, but it's not just one video.
No,
you taught me, you showed me through your video that there's hours and hours of video. So,
yeah,
I mean, I'm going to leave it up to you where we start with this discussion.
Well, I saw one question.
I'm just going to jump off to the side because my daughter's calling me, but I'm going to mute myself.
You started talking right now. I'm going to run outside. I'm going to do 10 backflips, chug 5 beers. Okay, I'll start with the first question is, this question for Chris from Moon, when will he go to Turkey to figure out the details on the UFO sightings that were filmed there? That's a good question. So if I can get a hold of anyone there. So I wrote the Turkey UFO incident an email. Basically just, I need to get a hold of someone there that I can actually go and talk to. The other option is I just go there, I start wandering around the place, and Turks are super friendly, and I speak, Turkish. I'll have to brush up on it. Hopefully I can track them down. Yolman. So that's all I'm waiting for is some sort of reply back from those guys. So if anybody knows anyone in Turkey that can help with that. All right. Question to Chris. I have your fitness book, but I'm still a fat bastard. My question, WTAF. What the Air Force? Yes, that's your problem there, Gerald. No. Thanks for getting the book, man. That's awesome. Yeah. Anyway, that was me tap dancing until you came back.
That's awesome, man. Thank you. Apologies for that. My she's not been feeling great.
You want to go to Turkey? I heard you're going to Colombia. You want to do a trip to Turkey with me? Istanbul?
Dude, I'll fly out to Portugal first. We'll do a little surfing, have a little week out there.
100%. Yeah.
And then then we can, let's go out to Turkey, man. You speak the language. You've been out there. You served out there. Am I right?
It's been a while. Yeah. On the Black Sea. Yeah. Black Sea, man. There's good waves, actually. Everyone says there's no waves. And a few times I went there.
Dude, I'm down. Yeah. I'm down.
Yeah. So man. Istanbul. So they were asking, I just need to get a contact. And then the holidays hit. And yeah. So basically I think it'd be awesome, actually.
Oh, I totally agree, man.
Yeah. There was so much footage on that. It was difficult to just make a video because they're just there's hours of footage essentially. The 2008, so it's 2007, 2008, 2009. There's different videos from each of those years. I think 2008 seems to have, like, if you're just going to watch one video, because the full footage just from 2008, I think, is 40 minutes or something. So it takes a while to go through it. But there's some really telling.
Yeah, sorry, I was just going to say, like, I was aware of the case, and I've always seen that classic image of the shape of the UFO that people then claim to be part of a cruise ship, which I was never 100% convinced. But then obviously, seeing your video when it came out, it was like over multiple years at heights that could never have been like a 75-foot cabin of a cruise ship. Blew my mind, man. And I think it's been quite ignored in part here and there. So I mean, I was just blown away, and I rewatched it today as well just to brush up on it, and it's super compelling, man. So where are you at with that case? Is it something you're gonna, I mean, obviously you say you'd like to get contacts out there, but have you tried contacting the guy that filmed it?
I tried to get his contact. No, so basically I sent out a few emails and then on Messenger, Facebook, and then that's it. But I haven't tried that hard. We had our own travel plans, but like in February or March, I could go. Yeah. So
that'd be awesome.
I'd like to go. Yeah. I want to talk to him. There's also in that documentary, I guess one of the famous Turkey ufologists that he actually did the investigation. So I need to get in contact with him. Basically, I just need to get to work and do it.
Hey, that's cool. And I'm sure you will, man. And
everybody, thanks for bringing it up.
Hey, no, because I wanted to say everybody that's watching this now or listening after the fact, go over and number one, subscribe to Chris's YouTube channel because it's awesome. But check out the Turkey video. And then if you look in the description below, Chris has given you all of the links to all of the data and information and research that was done on the case, in Turkey and stuff. It's kind of everything you need. And it's mind blowing because it's not as simple as I thought it was. I'm guilty to, enough to think that it's a simple case of misidentification of lights from the cabin of a cruise ship. So
yeah, it's funny how these memes go out.
Yeah. Well, it's that one photo where it showed the cruise ship and then it superimposed the UFO across the front.
Yeah, somebody did that. Yeah. And everyone's like, it's exactly the same. So I was looking at that. It's just funny how it works. I was looking at that photo, and if you actually look at it, I mean, I don't know. It doesn't look exactly like it.
I think people can make it fit.
Yeah.
But then, like, again, one thing that really stood out for me in your analysis video, like the guy zooms in on the moon and then the object, and then you do the math and the math about the heights and the distances and the curvature of the earth. I mean, it's You go in deep, man, on that, on the science and the mathematics of it, which
That one, they'd already done it though. You know, and that's interesting too. Like you just mentioned, there's tons of stuff in there. What I found was hours and hours of footage, you know, but also a ton of, like you just mentioned, analysis on it.
Yeah.
So it was nice because I did my own analysis of that, you know, how high the moon is above the horizon, right? Because in the same shot, he basically zooms in on the moon, and then he pans over, and you have the UAP. So that felt like the strongest like evidence point. So what I did, I went through, I go to mooncalc.com, and then you can see how high the moon should be at that date and time. Well, they already did that, you know, so it was nice. I got my own estimate, and then I was able to pair it off of what they had. And so, yeah, it's very compelling, that argument. You know, it could still be a hoax, right? That's what's so hard. Like, they could still hoax it, but it'd have to be over so many years, and it was already investigated. So yeah, I mean,
and then whoever did it came up with the orangey red lights as well from
yes,
that other video, where
exactly.
then you superimposed. So for everyone watching, there's another video from one of the same, you know, from one of the 3 years where you see 4 reddy orangey lights, and then Chris has superimposed those lights over the other video of the craft, and they fit. And it's just like, Jesus, man, that's like, if that's a hoax, that's elaborate, it's in depth, and it spans years. For what gain?
I mean, monetary, or
Maybe,
I don't know.
I guess. But
well, what's also interesting is there was a lot of other actual witness sightings all over Istanbul. So it was also in the news that it wasn't just these videos that prompted it. It was actually supposedly people saying they saw these, you know, these balls of light moving around, or they saw these flying saucers, whatever. Yeah, it's a huge. So I do want to go. I do want to go, and so it's good. I'm glad I'm here, and you guys are asking about it, because I'm trying to figure out what to focus on going into the new year. So,
well, in that case, one thing I really wanted to bring up is one thing I did read is that the US actually store nuclear weapons in Turkey, and I wanted to know if you'd looked into that aspect. Was there any storage facilities, bases, or anything within that region where it could be associated?
I mean, the only bases are down. They wouldn't have it in Istanbul,
right?
Yeah. So, yeah, nothing there.
I had to ask because
I know of.
After rewatching the video today, I was like, you know, it's them
Maybe
natural
submarine.
associations. You know, it makes you think there's got to be something
You could have a
interesting.
submarine. I mean, we have nuclear subs.
Yeah, yeah.
And you look at the Bosphorus that's a very important strategic straits. So it's the only,
because of what you've got above it with Crimea and Russia and everything like that to the north. And
yeah, because the Black Sea, it doesn't ice over in the winter. So that's Russia's only non-iced over port. So only winter port is in that Black Sea region. I think that's the argument they took over Crimea.
So that's good movement for nuclear sub, or any subs in general.
Well, it's a very strategic location,
the
Bosphorus Straits. They're famously strategic, but really for Russia as well. So because that's their only warm water port on the West Coast. So I think they treat that pretty seriously. So you could have nuke subs under there, maybe under the water or something like that. I just thought of that randomly. But
nice, fascinating though, isn't it? That's the thing. For that one photo I saw that I almost brushed aside the entire case, to then now discussing that video as being something that really still could be incredible.
I kept asking, where's this cruise ship? You know, where's the cruise ship video? And I couldn't find it. I'm sorry, cruise ship photo, because that's what everybody said. That's just a cruise ship. And I was like, okay, where's the photo? You know, and then I finally tracked it down on the Metabunk website. And so I found it on there, and I was like, this is the photo. This is it. You know, they discounted the whole case because of this like crappy photoshopped, cruise ship. So yeah, I don't think it should be thrown away. Definitely because of that. There's a lot of reasons why it's not or was shown not to be a cruise ship, or probably not a cruise ship. There was no cruise ships in the area. And probably the strongest evidence, like you mentioned, was just the height above the horizon based on that moon position.
Yeah, man, that blew me
that's
away,
killer.
man.
Yeah, I love it. On Metabunk, they said that it actually isn't that high, right? And
Of course.
but I don't think it holds water. Yeah, I think it.
Yeah, but it's not even close to like 75 meters for what the cruise ship cabin would be to your mathematical estimation. Well, not estimations. It's like proper.
Yeah, it would have to be wrong. So it would either have to be hoax that they put it on a different day. It would have to be a hoax, essentially, that they put it on. They changed the time. They changed the
on the
day
camera. Yeah.
on the camera, or they put a fake UFO somehow hanging, and that they're able to zoom in on. But that's the point, right? They zoom in on it. That's super strong too, because he
And because
zooms
they
in
do
on
the moon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he zooms in on the UFO. So that also rules kind of out the hoax. Yeah. So I guess the only thing would be if it's actually not up here, it's actually here, and we're just seeing it wrong. Like that was Mick West's argument, that there's a light down here, but it's like a ship mast light. That was what he was arguing. So I don't know. It's very strong. I want to go, so I'll definitely go. Yeah.
Awesome, man. We look forward to follow-ups. I've had a lot of people asking me today, or in the last couple of days, when they knew I was speaking to you about that footage. So
awesome.
I appreciate that. Let's move on and talk about Sky 360, which we briefly touched upon before we came on live. For everyone out there that doesn't know, Sky Hub was a system that you could install and build yourself at home, and it built a network globally to track objects, UAP and things. And Sky 360 is kind of the replacement. Can you fill us in on kind of what's going on with that?
Yeah. Yeah. So Sky Hub was a American-led movement, grassroots, basically guys just in their free time putting this project together, and it fell apart essentially. It's a very difficult project. The problem we're finding is, it's difficult because you have to do real-time information. So last month I went and looked at the American Meteor Society has a system. Or actually, All Sky 7 has a system where it's these 7 little cameras it looks like a flying saucer, right? And you put this up on your roof on scaffolding, and it has a little Jetson computer made basically for image processing. And those two things now, it will just monitor the sky for meteors, right? Because meteors are big bucks. You get big money if you can find a meteor, because you can sell it to even if you sell it for good, right? For science, you can sell it for a lot of money. I think it's $1,000 a gram is what they're going for. And some of these, if you find an actual meteorite, it's like kilograms, 20, It could be 10, 20 kilograms. So these are big bucks, right? And if you get enough systems linked together, there's an ellipse, right? There's only 2 right now in Portugal, 2 of those systems. And so it's a 20-kilometer ellipse. Right, so that's going to be pretty hard to actually find.
Yeah,
a meteorite. But what also you get is you get where it came from, right? So if they can accurately guess the trajectory, or not guess, but get the trajectory, then they can tell exactly where it formed, where it came from in the solar system, or outside the solar system. So some things have hit Mars. I guess there's been pieces of Mars, pieces of the moon. That have landed on Earth. So there's tons of science to get about the solar system as well. But it's hard, right? And for them, they don't need real time. They can just do it after the fact. They can get all the images, and then post process.
Sure.
Right. Yeah. So with Sky Hub, basically, when it died, the Europeans essentially picked it up. Go Europe. Richard Hoff basically took over everything they had, and now rebuilding their own system called Sky 360. Now it's a European-led initiative, right? So we'll see if Europe can make it happen. So that thing is being developed now. So what we found is that that meteor system, right? They don't have to worry about processing real time because they don't need a really good image, and that's where Sky Hub, I think, was kind of falling short, because with those little camera, like your little camera on your phone is jack, right? That little sensor is not good enough. And that's really why I think why we don't have any good videos or pictures of UAPs, right?
Okay.
For a lot of reasons, it seems like they affect digital equipment. If all this is real, right? Which
Sure.
we're trying to find. But let's say they do affect, they're real and they do affect digital electronic equipment. If you're close enough with your phone to take a good picture, chances are it's not going to work, or there's going to have some issues. If you even remember, right? If you're right there standing with an alien or something, you're really going to be like, pull out your phone and take a picture. I hope you do, right? And a video and selfie with you in it. But if it's far away now, so in close, probably not going to work. Further away, now you just have this little tiny crappy sensor.
Right.
And when you get into space applications, the first thing they ask you is what's the range that you need to be able to see things. And in space, it's hundreds of kilometers. So now you need a big sensor because you're not going to be able to see anything. And that's what we learned. You need a 1 meter. You really need a 1 meter telescope in space to be able to see anything with any sort of good resolution on Earth. So that's expensive. Those are like $10 million, I guess. So
wow. So how do you see the development over the coming years? Because originally Sky-Hub was a public led initiative, but it was something the public could buy into with their own systems for like between under $1,000 to a couple of $1,000s for a more advanced system. Do you see that still coming into play with Sky 360 in a year or so?
That's the whole plan. Yeah. So by Q4 should be a solid working system that we can start deploying. Is basically right now it's there's different teams, so it's divided out. So I meet I just went to my first meeting last week, but anyone can join if you're interested. We have technical knowledge, you're interested in building one of these systems or just helping. Right now we need some good AI or software developers who have kind of deep code ability. I don't think it's needed deep code ability, but knowledge of deep code so that they know how to make it simpler. But there's people right now involved and they're asking for people to join. So it's Sky 360 on Discord. So you go to their Discord, say, I'm here to, these are my skills. I'm here to help or just get information. And they direct you in different ways. So that is the idea, is citizens, right? Or people interested. Groups could be UAP groups. I think a UAP group would be a perfect idea, right? Actually motivated UAP groups. I think he said with 5 systems, you can cover all of Los Angeles. And like you mentioned, these systems you can get, looks like the low end is going to be difficult. They have 3 tiers right now, $1,000, $3,000, and $5,000 is what they're aiming for.
Okay.
I've done a little manufacturing in the past, and I'm like, just go with one, like 3,000, or pick one at $5,000, whatever it is, and then get that system working. So grassroots people or groups of people would buy the systems from Amazon Global, right? So it's all sourced wherever you live. So you could live South America.
Oh, we've lost you there briefly. Can you hear me, Chris? Right, we've lost Chris, guys. Can anybody in the chat let me know if you've lost me or Chris? We'll get him back, don't worry. Can you guys in the chat still see me? Or am I dipping out as well? I'm here, right, okay. Let's drop Chris out and we'll wait for him to jump back in. These things happen. I'm just going to give a quick shout out. Patrick Noble, thank you so much for the $9.99 donation. And Bryant for the $20 super sticker. Thank you so much. I appreciate all the support here, guys. I really do. If I've missed anyone, I'm sorry. The chat's been moving quick and I've obviously been quite involved in this conversation. I've lost Chris completely. He's been dumped out of the green room, not by me. Hopefully he'll jump back in. We've got some more questions to ask him. So guys, hang around if you're here. If anybody wants to chime in with any questions, I can now save them, pop them in a separate little box to ask him at the end of the interview. If he pops back in, I'll keep my messages and emails open in case he's like had some kind of fault or major issue, or the CIA got him. I see a few of you commenting. And I think we're good. Chris, are you there?
Am I here?
I can hear you. I can't see you.
All right. My computer just reset, man. I'm sorry. Let me come.
Oh, and he's gone again. All good, man. These things happen on these live streams, you know. It's all good. If I was recording this, I could just edit that out. But hey, I prefer to do these things live, have you guys here in the chat. It's been an absolutely fascinating conversation so far. So I'm really glad that we've done this one for the first show of 2022. Let's just go through some chat here. It seems like you guys are having an awesome conversation anyway. Love it. Absolutely love it. I got a couple of questions. Strafe. Good to see Strafe Wilson here. Strafe, I'm going to ask him your question about the Navy drone swarms 2019. That's a really good one. We literally only a couple of questions on my list left, so yeah, not too much longer. I appreciate it. Guys, we've got 96 people watching right now. That's incredible. Thank you so much to everyone for being here. I really appreciate it. If you want to ask any questions, feel free. I'm still taking questions for Chris. If there's anything that we've talked about that you want to know about, it's absolutely fascinating. But I recommend everybody go and check out Chris's channel, subscribe, but also check out that Turkey UFO stuff that he researched, covered, did all the maths and science discovering on all the angles of. Man, it's mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing. Right, he's just jumped back in. There he is, man.
I'm back. There we go.
And we get to see the green screen behind the scenes.
Get behind the scenes. All right, that's terrible, man. Sorry about that.
Hey, man, these things happen. I was just saying to the chat, these things happen on the live streams, man. So don't worry about it. Are you on your
forever, and then live stream it goes. Okay.
Are you on your cell phone now?
Yep, this is my cell phone. Let's see.
Man, good. That's all good. It looks fine. We're only a few questions away from what I had left, so you know we've gone over the hour, so don't worry about it, man. I'm going to jump into this question that we had from Strafe Wilson in the chat. Are you following the story regarding the UFOs, the Channel Islands, and the Navy drone swarms from 2019?
From 2019, I did just read one. I think yes, someone on YouTube sent me a link, but that's all I read. Yeah, I haven't heard anything else about it actually. Are they seeing drone swarms? I mean, is that a common occurrence?
Well, I think this story in particular leads into some of the stuff that Jeremy Corbell released last year as well. These anomalous things off of the West Coast. I just wasn't sure if it was something you'd looked into or not.
I hadn't looked into it. No, I saw it, but that's it.
No, it's all good, man. I've been following the story, but I think it's another one of those where we have a sort of lack of data, where we can't quite go any further with it at this point. So,
yeah, I mean, if you have any more data on it, I'd look into it. All I saw was that one article.
Yeah,
I haven't seen anything else.
No worries, man. I guess my final question was, I just wanted to see your thoughts on things like the Galileo project, UAPX, the James Webb Telescope, all these kind of other scientific things that are kind of, I guess, related to disclosure. And we don't have to just rely on the government and this UAP office. Do you see any like value in all of that?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, I'm just here. I don't have any personal agenda. I'm just here to help, any way I can. But what I've seen, the James Webb Space Telescope, I'm so pumped on that thing. So every day, not every day, but I did check it today. I saw that they deployed the sunshade. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's fully deployed. I mean, that seemed like the most complicated part. At least it's protected, right? Because if the sunshade's not there, it's probably going to burn up, So at least like the sunshade's there. I also heard that half of the systems are working. So it sounds like you'll at least get half of it working, even if none of the rest works from now on.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's huge. James Webb Space Telescope. Everybody keeps talking about, when they look back towards the Big Bang. But I'm really excited when they turn it towards the center of our galaxy. I'm super pumped because we've never seen to the center of our galaxy, at least clearly, because of the dust, the space dust.
Sure.
So IR, I guess, can see right through that stuff in infrared. So we should be able to get like some high def images of the center of our galaxy. That's super exciting. Or what'd be even more mind blowing to me is if we just pointed at Jupiter or something.
Right.
You know, because I think you can look through a lot of the clouds. I don't know, not sure, but I think it could give us some good insight in our solar system.
Yeah.
I think it's great. Yeah, IR, man, that's what's worked so well. It seems like the big kind ASA, right? Actively electronically scanned array radars kind of have given us pointouts to these UAPs, and then IR has really kind of gotten us our best views of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically James Webb is a super giant IR detector in space. You know, so yeah, I'm very excited about it. UAPX, super excited. They just it sounds like they had an NDA that they're waiting to end.
Yep.
So as soon as that ends, I think they say March or April.
April, yeah.
And yeah. And Kevin Knuth, he's confirmed that they're gonna release all the information. And yeah, I know he's still on. I invited him onto my show actually. I wanted to talk to him. Haven't heard back yet. Hopefully he comes on.
He will, man. I spoke to him.
He's out there working. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, just send him give me a little nudge. If I can get him, you could get him, man.
Has he been? Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I really want to talk to him. Yeah, UAPX, they seem awesome as well. You know, I've talked to Gary Voorhees a little bit, but that's it. And so I really want to talk to Kevin Knuth. And I know they've done out in that area you're talking about. I think down in Southwest or South California.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I'm very happy for them. Congrats to them on their success so far. And I'm excited. And then what was the other one you mentioned? That was UAPX?
The Galileo project.
Galileo project. Yeah, I know a few people were working on it. Kind of building weird antennas and transmitters, you know, in kind of secret. I know about that. So I know it seems like they're being open-minded, you know, and people are volunteering. They are using some of these people that volunteer. But yeah, I'm curious. What's their time? I want to beat them. You know, you mentioned the Sky 360. My goal, I hope they can't get its stuff out in less than a year, you know, because that's kind of our timeline. And just the final thought on that is that the point to zoom. So the way we're going to get around that, Sky 360, I didn't think of this. Sky 360, they have that initial fisheye camera, you know, like All Sky has to find the meteors. But then real time, you have a zoom camera that can really zoom in. And so this thing will be on a swivel, and you'll have the fisheye will point out something weird, like, hey, what is that over there? And then the point to zoom, real time, points and zooms in. So it's that real time processing, you know, like Teslas have to do that, right? Because they're driving down the road, they have to immediately label something.
Of course, yeah.
So hopefully we get that, and I'm wondering what I believe that they're not working on that level of stuff. They're on larger systems.
Yeah.
And so I'm aiming for the grassroots kind of IED. You know, like Afghanistan, Iraq, we couldn't beat the improvised explosive devices, right? They're so simple, they're so effective, and there's like thousands of them, you know? You just even if you have a technological advantage, like which we had a huge technological advantage.
Sure.
Billions of dollars advantage, you know, over how many 20 years? And we still didn't solve the IED problem, you know? Yeah. And why? Because they're everywhere. They're very hard to identify. They're passive, right? So they're not emitting anything. It's hard to. So that's what I want to make is just a passive. All the military, you know, the Air Force people are like, oh my God. No, I want to make a passive system that is cheap to build and goes everywhere and push whatever. If there's technological entities that aren't allowing us to see them or whatever, which is one thesis, then okay, let's push the test, right? Push the test. Like, how good is your tech, right? It's probably really good, but there's always holes, man. There's always holes. Like,
unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, we learned this firsthand with IEDs. I mean, there's always a way through, and simple tech works. bullets still work. We're in the age of missiles and all these things, but man, a bullet is still very effective. Can't jam it. So that's the hope, is really to beat the Galileo project. So I think it's awesome that there's like a race. I think of it like a race.
Yeah.
To try and get, but not a race. I want to work with those guys.
Of course.
But from a different angle. I like the European angle. I like having maybe Disclosure Europe, and bringing out the points here, like Turkey UFO. There's also been another big Fatima. You've heard of that in Portugal? Yeah.
Yeah, briefly earlier in the year, but not too long ago. But yeah, I've not heard anything for a little while. But yeah, I've definitely heard something.
Yeah, I'm very excited for 2022. Actually, I
don't
know.
Man.
What do you think? What do you think's going to come out? Are we going to get?
Dude, I'm taking it one step at a time. Yeah, I have no expectations. I'm keeping them low. If anything comes, great. But I'm just going to keep having the conversation, talking to the right people, trying to bring as much as we can out as it comes out. That's kind of how I feel my job is. Obviously, I'm going to go and do some boots on the ground work myself in Colombia. That's going to be great.
Yes. What is this?
Yeah, it's tough, man.
Have you done other investigations?
No, I haven't, man. No, this is my first opportunity to actually work with a full crew with ex-CIA technology guys with drones and LiDAR, radar, and all that kind of crazy technology, and literally just run through experiments to kind of try and find out some explanations of this particular phenomena in this small spot in Colombia. So I guess we'll see.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, that's exciting. Yeah, that's great. It's tough to do multiple things, though. You find, because you're making.
Tell me about it.
It takes a lot of time to do all the videos and everything, and then trying to do other investigations. Yeah, I find getting pulled in different directions. So it's kind of good. It's good that I'm good I had this, and then know to focus on Turkey UFO, etc.
Nah, that's good, man. So what about you, man? Before we finish up and say goodbye, what have you got coming up for the foreseeable future, if anything?
So Friday, I'm interviewing Leslie Keene.
Wow.
She's an author. Yeah, she wrote UFOs, Generals, and Government Officials Go on the Record. UFO Generals, Pilots, and Government Officials Go on the Record. Yeah, great book.
Yeah. I have it right next to me.
Do you really? Yeah.
I do. Yeah. I've got a massive pile of books that I need to get through.
Do you want me to ask her anything? Oh, you haven't read it yet.
No, I haven't. I haven't read it yet. Just ask her to email me.
Email you a summary of the book. It's excellent, man.
That's email me to tell her I want to speak to her. I want to interview her.
I'm still kind of new, but I've been trying to get through them as much as I can. And well, especially from a pilot perspective, there's just a ton of pilot stories in there. There's some good ones from the UK. The Guernsey one's in there.
Wow, great story.
Yeah, every
case.
Yeah, every chapter is pretty good. So yeah, I'm talking to her on Friday, and then so that should be out next week. Writing for the Portugal News as well.
Wow.
So yeah, I think in 5 months I'll get a press pass. So in Turkey maybe we can cut through some lines.
Dude, that's awesome, man.
Yep, exactly. And then Turkey UFO, and then I'm spending a lot of my time on this. I'm working on an NFT project.
Okay.
I want to make a NFT project that can fund the Sky 360 initiative, the Avenger initiative. That's what I've been spending a lot of. If I'm not investigating, then I'm working on the NFT project to try and fund it. So,
awesome, man.
Yeah.
I love it. Absolutely. And I'll put all your links in the description of the video so everyone can come and follow you, check out your work, subscribe, follow, and everything. But I have to just thank you so much for joining me. I've had a great conversation, a great start to 2022. So thank you so much.
Excellent, man. Sorry about my technical issues, but always great to have you, man. Thanks for inviting me on, and good luck in Colombia.
Thank you, man.
Find us.
We'll stay in touch. We'll speak behind the scenes, man.
Awesome.
All right, Chris. For now, take care, my friend, and we'll speak soon.
All right, and thanks everybody watching. Take care. See ya.
Awesome. Oh man, that was great. We had these things happen, these technical issues, but we got through the majority of that conversation. Absolutely fantastic. I had a blast. It's a great first show back for 2022. I'm really hyped for what we got coming up. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for everyone in the live chat, and I guess everyone that will listen to this afterwards. This will be going out through that UFO podcast audio on Spotify and Apple Podcasts in the next few days. So yeah, excited for that collaboration that will become the Anomalous Podcast Network in February. I'm so happy to be a part of that. Such great dudes, Andy, Dan, and all the other shows that are going to be on the network. Graham Rundell and Dave Partridge's new show. Dan Zetterstrom, The Signal's got his own podcast coming out. And then Priscilla, Quantum Witch Cafe, is a part of the network as well. So much stuff for you guys to dig into. As far as this YouTube channel, on Saturday, I'm going to be premiering an interview with Adam Goldsack from UAP Media UK, a huge advocate for the UAP subject through Twitter and things like that. You probably, or you might know him as Andreas Freeman Stahl on Twitter, if you're a part of the UFO Twitter community. So I'm recording that interview tomorrow, but we're going to drop it as a premiere on Saturday. Next week, I think it's next week. I'll put the dates out on my social medias. I'm interviewing Gunter Hofer. Gunter I had on the channel last year to discuss the Ariel school case in Zimbabwe from 1994. He was part of the research team that were on site a couple of days after that case with John Mack, Cynthia Hind. So Gunter's coming back on next week to discuss other cases in Africa over the decades. So a lot of cases that we've not heard about before. So I'm certainly going to learn a lot from that. That same week, I'm going to have a roundtable with the guys from UAPX that we chatted about tonight. So I'm going to have Gary Voorhees, I'm going to have Jason Turner, and some of the other guys hopefully join us for a panel discussion on what UAPX have been up to in 2021, what we've got to look forward to in 2022. Then on the 17th, I am going to be live with Colonel John Alexander from NIDS, Skinwalker Ranch, remote viewing. The guy's a legend in this subject. We don't get to hear from him that often, so I'm really blessed to be able to speak to him. We just haven't decided if it's going to be live here on YouTube or if we're going to put it out a little bit later as a premiere as well. But you guys, if you follow me on my social medias, you'll get all that information. And I guess that's it. I just want to say thank you. This has been my first video back from the new year, so it feels a little bit new again. Thank you to everyone that's watched tonight live, and for everyone that hears this going out on the podcast audio only. Thank you for tuning in, and I look forward to you guys being with me for my journey through 2022. For now, take care, guys, and I will see you soon. Peace.